Good day, good friends. It is so nice to see you. I am Christiana Gaudet. I am your tarot fairy godmother, and this is the online version of Cards and Conversation Tarot Meetup live on YouTube. If you happen to be watching an archive, thank you so much for being here. But let's greet some of the people we have here. Melanie, driving, so is going to listen while driving. So you drive carefully because we love you and want you to arrive safely at your destination. Samantha, nice to see you. Smile Soul 20. Hey, Deborah Bacon. Haven't seen you in so long. Good to see you. Kathy Parker, glad you're here. Nature Renew, happy to see you. That's my friend Alice. Chrissy, glad you're here. Irene, Karen, Dave, happy to see you. To quote Lieutenant Commander Data, I am fully functional. Your laptop is working again, and I love the Star Trek reference. I was just watching a Star Trek Next Generation episode during lunch today, as I do pretty much every day. I eat lunch with Commander Data. Mm. It was a COVID thing. I just watched all of Deep Space Nine. I did the whole series of Deep Space Nine when COVID started. Now I'm on to Next Generation. Then I'm going to go on to Voyager. You know what we do, right? Lacey, nice to see you. Claire, glad you're here. Marion, happy to see you. Mystics Haven, Lexi, Michelle, Jackie, Audrey. Audrey here for the first time from Del Rey. So nice to see you. Laura, Donna, happy to see all of you. So to get started, tell us where in the world you are and what deck you're working with today, except for Melanie. Melanie doesn't have to do anything because she's driving. I am in Palm City, Florida, and today I am working with Spiral Tarot. So let us know where you are and what deck you're working with. Okay, Mix your weir. I don't know how to say that, but it's Michelle from Abundant Hot Tarot. Nice to see you. Joe Breaks the Internet is here. So happy to see you all. So let us know where you are and what deck you're working with. The first thing that we like to do is to read for each other, and we will do that for the first half hour or so. Mystics Haven is in Georgia, and she's working, or he, I actually don't know what your gender is, working with Forest of Enchantment. Irene is from Minnesota with Chakra Wisdom Tarot. So happy to have all of you here. Donna's my neighbor in Port St. Lucie using Dark Mansion. Samantha is in Sarasota using Tarot of the Spirit. Claire is in Alhambra, is that how you say it? Illinois, and working with the new deck that she's designed, Tarot for Teens. Yay. Okay, Kathy Parker in Bowmanville, Ontario, working with Rider Waite. Can't go wrong. Okay, Mix You Ear. Was that Michelle? Is that was, yeah. In Toronto, using the Starlight Illuminated Tarot. Beautiful. Audrey in Delray Beach using Rider Waite. Laura in Kona, Hawaii, Aloha, using Kickstarter's Anne of Green Gables. Karen is in Florida using Gilded Royale, one of my favorites. John is in Chicago using the Thoth Toth Tahote, Crowley Harris. Happy to see you here. And Marion reminds you to thumbs up this video or she's going to send angry unicorns from Scotland to you all. See, because Marion's got my back. Dave is in Deerfield Beach, Florida, using the Rider Waite Smith. Don't dare use anything else since I'm trying to use the cards without looking them up. Fair enough. Oh, Mystics Haven, you're Teresa Iannuzzi. I think I knew that. But, you know, memory, man. So great. Nice to see you. Michelle H. in Houston, Texas, working with light seers. I love light seers. I've got my light seers right here, too. It's always on my desk. I do love it. Okay. Lacey is in Central Park, New York City, but forgot to bring a deck. That is okay. We are just happy to have you here with us. Marianne in Wesley Chapel, working with Rider Waite. So I'm going to be in Wesley Chapel. That's where I happen to stay. It's my favorite Airbnb, where when I go to the Tampa area for my tarot tour, I will be there in June for 3 days. Iva Morris is in Palm Beach Gardens using Sawyer's Path. What a great deck. Joe breaks the internet. Lots of Floridians. She lived in Delray for years. Yes. Alhambra. That's how we say the name of the town that Claire lives in. Hey, Serena. So nice to see you in Vermont using Gilded Tarot. Paula is in Fullerton, California, working with Uncommon Tarot. What a great deck. Chrissy is in New Jersey using that Rider-Waite-Smith. Lexi is in Houston, Texas using Beautiful Creatures. All right, my friends. So we start out reading for each other, and we do this in a very specific format. A lot of you have been here before, and so you know what I'm going to say. But for those of you who are new, let me share with you how that's going to be. But first, let me welcome Marius. Did I pronounce that correctly? I'm sorry if I did not. From Western Massachusetts. Very good. Working with Gilded Tarot today. What a great deck. So here's how this goes. We have the floor open now for your burning questions. If you would like a reading, give us a question. I will do a 1-card reading for you, and anyone else who would also like to do a 1-card reading will do so in the comments. So I'm going to do it verbally. Everyone else will do it in the comments. You will put the name of the person you're reading for, the card that you got, and your interpretation. So if you ask a question, not only will you listen to what I have to say with that 1 card, you're going to go through and read all the comments. So it's a full reading. Multiple readers, multiple decks, multiple cards, all in answer to your question. And it's so interesting to see how that sort of rolls out when we agree, when we disagree, how we build on each other. It's an interesting thing to see. And that's what we will do for pretty much the first half hour of our time together. We're here for an hour. In the second half hour, we do some tarot study. At that point, I will open the floor for your questions about tarot, about decks, about techniques, about cards, about particular readings that you have done. I'll also have some exercises for you. Okay, so we have our first question, and it's from Mystics Haven. If there is an obstacle or challenge in my path, how might I best get through it? Okay, if you would like to do this reading at Mystics Haven, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Let's go. How might she, Teresa, get through her obstacle, if there is indeed one present? Ten of Pentacles. So that is so interesting. And I very often see this as a card of the ancestors. And so it may be by looking at whatever obstacle it is as being generational, something having to do with your family or what you learned from your family or what is passed on through the generations. So really doing generational or ancestral healing and calling on the wisdom of the ancestors to help you heal it. Marianne, yes, I will be doing in-person readings. In fact, I'm bringing people right to my Airbnb. So if you would like to reach out to me to schedule an in-person reading, I would love to see you. I will be there like June 11th through 13th or something, 11th through 14th. In fact, over that weekend. So we can absolutely work that out. Okay. Next question. Okay, and this is Michelle, and we have two Michelles here. One Michelle is Mixuir, and the other, I think, is Michelle H. I think that's how it goes. So this is Mixuir. Is it time to mostly leave my spiritual community? If you would like to do this reading, at Mixuer, Mixueer, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. Is it time to leave the spiritual community? Knight of Swords. So my answer is sort of like yes, and swiftly, unless you want to stay and really speak your truth, in which case they may want you to leave. So there's that. Okay, next question, Claire. If you'd like to do this reading, at Claire, the name of the card you got in your interpretation. Is my husband's misdemeanor going to be dismissed? Five of Wands reversed. It may or may not be dismissed, but it's not going to turn out to be a big deal or a big issue. Okay, Smile Soul 20. My burning question is, I've been going outdoors often and haven't met a special someone. Man, we have just been waiting for this for so long. And sometimes in the cards, it really comes up like it's about to happen, but it hasn't seemed to happen yet. So will it happen soon? Is there love for Smile Soul 20? Anytime soon. If you'd like to do this reading, at Smile Soul 20, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. The High Priestess, and I know you are looking for a woman. For me, the High Priestess is about, in this context, finding that perfect woman. So I think so. Yes. Yes. Continue to be patient, which is another message from the High Priestess. Joe breaks the internet. What should I know about contacting the person I'm crushing on? What a good question. Okay, if you would like to do this reading, at Joe breaks the internet, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. What should Joe know about contacting the person I'm crushing on? Two of Wands reverse sort of says, well, don't have any expectations. As you do this, do not have expectations. That's what I'm going to say. All right. Michelle H. My question, what energies can be surrounding my current home loan application? All righty. If you'd like to do this reading, at Michelle H., the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What energies do we see around the current home loan application? 10 of Swords reversed. So here's the thing. This is a very stressful thing, but the home loan application would be relieving of stress, would make things better. And so I feel like you want to really envision how this would make things better and be hopeful in that regard. Okay, so next we have Donna. Hang on, I'm just looking at stuff here. Okay, here we go. Donna. Oh no, okay, that's Donna doing a reading. And thank you everyone for doing readings. I see Donna doing a reading, Irene doing a reading. Thank you everyone for doing this, for being part of this process. Okay, the next question from Santiago. Where or under what circumstances could I meet my next love partner? That's a very well-worded question, I think. Okay, at Santiago Espinoza, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Where or under what circumstances could I meet my next love partner? Two of Pentacles, just being out and about. It could be about work. It could be introduced from someone that you work with. It could just be being out and about doing the things that you do. Okay. Hey, Cheryl Jefferson, nice to see you. Okay. Okay, Samantha. This is Samantha 79. If I focus on my self intuition this week, where do I focus my energy? Okay, so where should Samantha be focusing her energy this week? If you would like to do this reading at Samantha 79, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. The Three of Pentacles reversed. Focus your energy on what is not working and either how to make it work or how to let it go. Hey, Stylin' Chica, nice to see you here. What do my guides want me to know or do? If you would like to do this reading, do this reading at Stylin' Chica, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Ace of Swords reversed. What are you telling yourself that isn't true? Where are you not? What are you not seeing? What truth are you not seeing? What untruth are you hanging on to? It's important and it's deep. Okay, Serena. What might help me in my upcoming transition? If you would like to do this reading at Serena Fox, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What might help her in her upcoming transition? Ace of Pentacles. So is this a change having to do with a work project, with where you're living? It feels like that, being the Ace of Pentacles. And what you need to know is that you always have the magic to ground yourself. Even if something is making you ungrounded, you are always grounded. Okay. Lots of great readings going on here. Thank you so much. Okay, Marianne. Should I go back to school to be an esthetician? If you'd like to do this reading at Marianne D, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. 10 of Pentacles. Once again, you're the second one to get this card. And in this case, I would say absolutely and positively 100% yes. Okay, and remember, if you are doing a reading, use the format, the name of the person you're reading for, the name of the cards you got, and your interpretation. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, Donna Dorama. I believe the owners of my mobile home park are up to something. What do you think it might be? Very interesting question. If you would like to do this reading, at Donna Dorama, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. 7 of Swords reversed. It may not be as bad as you think. Very often when I see the 7 of Swords reversed, it's like whatever shenanigans you think they're getting up to, maybe not so much at all. Relax. Okay. Lots of great readings. And remember, if you ask a question, to scroll through and see the answers you have received. And thank you, everyone, for being part of this process. Hey, Robin Levine, be in your own name. Yay, nice to see you. Okay, Baby Cakes, nice to see you. Where should I look to move and buy a house? In Florida or South Carolina or any of those states? So, interesting. Okay, so this is an interesting thing to do, to try to do with one card. Like for me, this is definitely a 3-card reading. So how you want to do this? This one we have to break from format for this. So if you would like to do this reading for Baby Cakes, let us know how you're doing it. Are you doing more than one card? You might also just do, is it time to move and buy a house? Yes or no? One card, that's fine. So let us know the format you're using. Make sure you put the name, baby cakes, the format you're using, what cards you got in your interpretation. For me, it's a 3-card reading. Florida, South Carolina. Or maybe it's a 2-card reading. Okay, the way it's asked, Florida, South Carolina, or any of those states. And I guess what you're saying is maybe not any of that. So Florida, South Carolina, or neither, or both, seems to be what the question is. So let's see. Florida, South Carolina. Between the two, I'm liking South Carolina better. For Florida, I got Death reversed, and South Carolina, I got the 2 of Cups. So I'm leaning more towards South Carolina for you. Okay. Hey, Lori Hahn, nice to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you forever. Okay. I'm just looking through here, reading all these great readings. Thank you all so much for doing this. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the floor is still open for questions for readings. We can also start to open the floor for questions about tarot. What would you like to know about tarot? Is there a particular card you're struggling with? Are you curious about other people's favorite decks or favorite cards? Are you curious about a particular technique? What would you like to know about tarot? Have you done a particular reading that you did not understand? So the floor is still open for readings and is also open for any kind of questions about the cards. And while we're waiting for more questions, I am just going to go right ahead and I'm going to drop a link. I have a Zoom tarot class. This is a premium tarot class coming up. And it is coming up this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. You need a ticket. Here's the link to get the ticket. It is the Tarot Flow Workshop. We're going to spend 2 hours looking at techniques to really find the flow in your tarot reading. Okay, and we have a couple of questions coming in about tarot. Patrolyn, nice to see you. Style and Chica, the difference between the 2 and 3 of Wands. So I love to talk about this. And in fact, let me go ahead and from my big old weight deck, let me pull those cards. And if anyone else wants to talk about 2 and 3 of Wands, just label it 2, 3 Wands and share how you see the differences between the 2 and 3 of Wands. And for me, it's a very, very clear difference because of the story. So with the 2 of Wands, this is how I see it. The person is holding the world in his hands, but he's still looking out over the horizon at the actual world. He's planning, he's dreaming, he's manifesting. He's thinking about how he's going to do whatever it is in the world he wants to do, how he's going to make his plans. Here, the plans have been made and he is seeing his success. His ships are coming in. And so we've gone from manifestation to success. That's how I see it. Now, I know there are some people who see this card as, well, we still don't know if there's going to be success yet. But for me, 3 of Wands really is success. So manifestation, success. That's how I do it. Other people may, of course, do it differently. Okay, Patra Lynn, struggling with the court cards. And if you look through this channel, there are classes and other videos on the court cards. There's a lot about the court cards on this channel because you are not the only one who struggles with the court cards. If anyone would like to share some information about how you manage the court cards, tag it court cards and go ahead and share it here. So here is I'm going to do this in a nutshell. Here is my foolproof way of working with court cards. What you need is keywords for each rank. So for example, keywords for page, youth, messenger, student, communication. Keywords for knight, youth, travel, pursuit. Keywords for queen, feminine, adult, nurturance. Keywords for king, adult, masculine, leader, institution. So you've got those keywords, and then of course you have your keywords for the 4 elements, the 4 suits, right? So rank plus element equals card. That's the nutshell of that. And the reason you struggle with court cards, we all struggle with court cards, because they are the most fluid, most versatile cards in the deck. Okay. Okay. And as far as questions for readings, I tend to like to only do 1 per person. So I know a couple of you have asked more than 1. Go ahead and save that question for the next time we meet. Because I like to just do 1 per person if you don't mind. Okay. So here's one. Donna. I very stupidly, never call yourself stupid. I very stupidly did a reading for a person who wanted to know if her ex-husband was going to die from Ava. I don't know what Ava is. I wonder if that's COVID, if that's a autocorrect. I didn't see it in the cards, but he did die, and boy, do I feel stupid. Help. Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, I would say most readers, and if you want to play with this, if you want to comment on this and how you would handle this, label it death. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Label it death and go ahead and give us your comment. So, I'm going to speak to how death shows up. Well, I'm going to say 2 things. First of all, yes, it is true. A lot of readers would just decline to do that reading or would rephrase the question. But here's the thing. Some things you see in the cards, some things you don't. And death is a weird one because sometimes you'll see it unbidden and sometimes you won't see it when it's right there. Spirit is funny about how death comes up. So if you do choose to do a reading like this, know that in advance and say, look, death is hard to predict and there's reasons for that. Number 1. Number 2, if they come back and say, well, why didn't you see this? Why didn't you see it? The answer is spirit is funny that way. We are not to know these things until we know these things. And sometimes it's because, we don't want to put someone in the ground until it's time. And maybe at that moment you were doing that reading, it could have gone either way. And so why put energy into it? Let's see what other people have to say about that one. That's a tough one. I feel your pain there. I really do. I will tell you, there are some people where I can see death coming a mile away, and other people, I don't see it, and there it is. Spirit is funny that way. It's just a funny thing. Okay. Dave, tarot question. I've always had the naive notion that one should not charge money for spiritual knowledge. Yeah, I know, right? I find it difficult to charge for a reading. How do I get past that? So I'm going to tell you something, okay? And anyone who has advice for Dave, tag it money and give Dave some advice. And I'm going to give you advice that was given me the very first psychic fair I ever worked, the very first time I ever got paid. I got to the fair early. And in the beginning, of course, no one's there. So we're just trading readings with each other. And this is my first time in the professional setting, right? And I said to one of the readers, I'm a little uncomfortable charging money for readings. And here's what she said. I collect at the end of the reading. That way, if the person does not feel like what I've done for them is worthy of paying, they don't have to pay me. And so to this day, I collect at the end of the reading, most of the time, really, unless the client wants to, or there's some reason, I feel like I need to collect in the beginning, I collect at the end. And that way, if the client does not feel like I've done my job or they shouldn't have to pay, I'm not going to pay. And that really just made it okay for me. Now I sort of feel like, well, it's my full-time job, so clearly I have no issue at this point. But it's something that was sort of drummed into our heads, and I don't know where that came from. My father was a minister. Certainly he got paid for his job. So I think it would be interesting to try to unwind why this is even a thing in our culture. I don't know. See what other people have to say. This is one from Michelle, who is Mixuer. Temperance versus Judgment. If you've got some stuff about temperance versus judgment, let me go to my big teaching deck and find these cards. Here's Judgment. Please go ahead and share what is the difference between temperance and judgment. And I got to tell you, from my own perspective, I would not have seen these two as similar. I'm curious to know what you see. Like in the Venn diagram of these two cards, what do you see them having in common? For me, they're so strikingly different. So please come back at me and tell me what to you they have in common. And there's no wrong answers here. We all see the cards the way we see the cards, and the way we see the cards today and the way we see them tomorrow may change. And the way we see them in one reading and the way we see them in another reading will certainly change. But let me share with you my take on these two cards, starting with Temperance. Temperance is, by the way, probably my favorite card. Temperance. Temperance is fire, related to Sagittarius. What is happening in those cups? This is not water going from cup to cup. This is a solution. This is all the ingredients. This is art. This is alchemy. This is creation. This is the recognition that nothing in life is perfect. But if you take a little of this and a little of that and blend it together, you can find the perfect blend. This is the recognition that we can create something that is bigger than the sum of its parts. Traditional keywords for this card: art, time, and alchemy. There is caution, there is balance, there is patience here. But it's all in that recipe of creating the perfect blend. That's what I see there. Judgment. What we see here is the angel Gabriel blowing his horn to awaken the dead. These are literally dead people coming out of their coffins to be born into the new day. This is rebirth. It is the call to awaken the sleeping hero. It is the wake-up call. It is communication with the angels, and it is putting past in the past, putting closure to the past, looking to the past with the final analysis, recognizing that you did well, but it's over and it's time to move on to the new day. Let's see what other people have to say. From Claire regarding court cards, For a page, she sees a new direction, a knight taking action, queen, patience and understanding, king, knowledge and leadership. And there's a recommendation from Michelle for Ethne Dawn's book on the court cards. Very good. Okay. And more readings are happening as well. Marion, regarding court cards, trying to look at them as energies rather than people can sometimes help. Okay, Santiago, how to work with timing in tarot. In some books, the seasons are related to and for some are different. Yeah, every book's going to be different. Every person's going to be different. If you have something to add about timing in tarot, just call it timing, tag it timing and add it. I would refer you to a class we did recently in the live tarot webinar playlist called Time and Tarot. And what we talked about is how cards can have a quality of time versus a quantity of time. Looking at, like, Temperance would say, patience, it's going to take a while. Judgment may say, coming soon, the past is over, so we're moving quickly to the future. So looking at cards as having a quality of timing. Okay, so regarding Donna's issue with death in the cards from Joe, not sure this is helpful, but that's a reading I wouldn't do or would ask them to rephrase, ask it from a different angle. I think a lot of people would agree with that, sure. Paula, regarding death in the cards, it's difficult to do these type of readings. Some people really need to let destiny take control of their lives. There are some things we are not allowed to know or speak or see because it initiates a spiritual journey or opportunity for change and growth, sure. Iva, same topic, would ask and rephrase the question. Dave, this is a very good one about the same topic. If death is not the end, could that be why spirit doesn't always see it as something that should be expressed in a reading? Sure. And to that, also to Donna, and I agree, would not blame your abilities. It's not your fault. 100%. Lacey, death. I won't answer death questions, but on several occasions it's come up, and my querent will tell me that someone has died. Right. From Mixuer, death. Humans still have free will, so I prefer not to do those. Sorry that happened. Sure. Claire, death. Sometimes spirit just doesn't want you to know. Yep. Serena, commiserating with death. With Dave. That's a hard one for her, the charging money. Samantha thought death was more of transformation. So I think you're confusing Major Arcana 13, which was not part of this conversation, with the reading about someone actually dying. Yes, and that's a whole other question. How does death show up in the cards? For me, it is not usually Major Arcana 13, death. It's usually a combination of other cards. So yeah, absolutely. For me, Major Arcana 13, death, is very much more often pregnancy, job change, marriage, those kinds of things. Again, transformation, exactly as you say. Okay, Donna, regarding money, charging money for a reading. Dave's question. I learned the hard way. People don't appreciate what they don't pay for. End of story, right? Mystics Haven, has anyone used the Book of Shadows Tarot Kit that includes 2 decks, as above and so below? I have not. I'd love to hear anyone ring in on that. Tag it Book of Shadows. From Mixuer, money. Dave, you're putting in your labor, charge for your labor. Absolutely. And also, for Dave, from Joe, what would you think about a 6 of Pentacles thing? As in, give some money you make to a cause you believe in. Serena doesn't like collecting at the end. It breaks the flow. So you'd rather collect in the beginning. That's fine. That is absolutely a fine way to do it. However, it works best for you. This is good. Thank you. From Iva, regarding money, go to StarCon and learn from others. And that's a great time to plug for StarCon. StarCon 2022 is coming. We will have the new website up very soon and an opportunity to get tickets. Right now, you want to mark your calendar, January 21st through 23rd. It will be in person in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, and online on Accelerants. So if you can come in person, please do plan to. If you would rather be online or can't come to Florida at that time, then plan to be online on the Accelerants platform. Paolo, regarding money, if you don't feel comfortable charging for readings, don't. I don't ever. If I wanted that to change, I would. You're not restricting people from their spiritual journey. From Lacey, death. I didn't mean to send that yet. But death is a healing as well for that person who has passed. It's a physical death, but not for their spirit, which will move on. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Paula, regarding money, people donate for church, right? People also charge for many services. Think of it that way. It's your service to the world. People charge for callings or even nonprofits. It's the currency of this age, and it's a tool. Money is, an agent for great change. Think of it that way, if you wish to charge. From Marion, regarding money, if you value what you do, then why wouldn't you charge? You are providing a service. Would you take your car to get fixed and expect not to pay? Yep. Mixure, I absolutely see differences, but they're both about balance. I have never seen the judgment card as being about balance. I mean, we can find balance in all the cards, but if you ask me to list the cards in which I see balance, and we did a class on that too, judgment would not be in that list. So if you don't mind, just because we all learn from each other, tell me, how is it that you see balance in judgment? Where is the balance in this card? Please do share that with me so I can see it that way too. Thank you. Okay. From Joe, I don't feel ready for payment, but because of some circumstances, I may need to soon. How do I know if I'm ready? I don't want to be arrogant and presumptive. I will tell you how I knew I was ready. I knew I was ready because people came to me. I was reading for friends like you do because it's fun and you're getting your practice. And then friends started bringing their friends. And then people started asking, okay, here, I brought you these cookies. I baked cookies for you. I brought you this bottle of wine. Or can we trade? I'm a massage therapist. Can we trade? So they started wanting to give me things. And at that point, I knew I was giving something of value because they knew I was giving something of value because they're coming bearing gifts. Okay, Claire, money. Your gifts and abilities is something that others can't and won't tap into. We can't ask for a free haircut just because we don't know how to cut our own hair, right? Right. From Joe, regarding money, I find that if I do work for free, I'm almost always less inclined. Not always, but mostly. Okay. And regarding temperance, from Donna, I was just reading that temperance is about incorporating both sides of an item, issue, idea. Incorporating was the key word to me. I love that. Yes, incorporating. Beautiful. Okay, from Iva, Christiana, would you have a class on looking at the cards and the messages in the picture? Like temperance in the cups with the liquid, mixing to find a solution. I've never even noticed that. That would be a very interesting format, especially if we're all working with different decks. Sort of what we see in the picture and giving ourselves permission to see that. That would be very interesting. Okay. So Lacey, oh, good. Temperance and judgment. What they have in common is fire. Good one. Although judgment can also be water, depending on your tradition. The Hebrew letter for judgment is a mother letter, shin, and the element is pure fire. Very interesting. Okay, nice. Okay, Joe, timing as in timing for a certain time of day, not sure what you mean. Like when something will happen, when you're doing predictive readings. Or when you should do something. Okay, and Claire is offering one of those, excuse me, seasons with suits. Some people do that. Just be clear what works for you or what you have read in a book. Everyone has their own. There's no one right way or one right tradition on that. Serena, this is a good one regarding timing. Astrology can help with this too. Absolutely. Looking at the astrology there. Okay, Style and Chica for Judgment, card 20, made of 4 5s. Interesting, since 5s tend to depict battles. Yup. Very good, very good. Okay, for Michelle H. The Temperance card shows the water, i.e., emotions involved in the blending of different elements. And then the 1 foot in water. It's such an interesting thing that, much like the star, it's a very watery looking card, but not related to the element of water. Such an interesting thing. Just like the star is very watery in its look, but not related. Stars related to air. And so here, the water isn't water. So it's an interesting thing. But can you see it that way? Sure. If it works for you, absolutely. And here's something about the as above, so below from Joe. A friend of Joe's loves it, but hasn't said any details. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is a good one from Santiago. How should be the process to use a new deck? If you already use other decks, do you read the book that came in the box? Okay, great. Let's do this one. I had some exercises prepared for you, but you've kept us so busy, folks. We may not even get to those exercises, and that's okay. I'll get them for next time. I appreciate everyone's great questions and how we are all participating in this. Okay. So label this new deck. Lots of questions here when you get a new deck. Do you have to read the book that came with the deck? Some people do. You don't have to. I would say if it is a deck that is very different from the traditions that you've known and worked with before, it's always a good idea. Or when you're looking through the deck, if you see a card, you're like, what were they thinking here? That's when you want to read the book, certainly. But then there's also the spiritual part of breaking in a new deck. I want to mark the deck with my breath. I want to blow on it. I want to hold it to my throat chakra, to my heart chakra, to my brow chakra. I might write a dedication for it. I might use an incense to smudge it. I might look at each card, shuffle it. Now, there's also the process of the deck interview. Some people like to do a deck interview. I can tell you I'm not a fan of that. I think it's limited. But I'd love to hear, how do you all break in a new deck? Okay, from Paola, regarding judgment and balance. Karmic debt, when it can be relinquished if you've done the work and if you'd be free from it. If you believe in that sort of thing. Right, absolutely. Makes sense. Which is funny because I don't believe in karmic debt particularly, so I would not have seen that, but makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. Dave, balance and judgment. Isn't the act of judging and balancing? Oh, yeah, there you go. And so this really is also what Paola was saying, but using language that works better for me. Is balancing your good deeds against your not so good ones. Symbolically, the justice system tends to have a scale involved. You know, the thing is, for me, like, I would see that with justice for sure, but there's something about this card with judgment. When I look at that final analysis, there is just always for me the assumption that the past is the past, that you did the best you could. Like, I don't really in this card see that judgment of good versus bad, good deeds versus bad deeds. I see that much more in the justice card. That's just me. Okay, Miss Silver, nice to see you. The art connection with temperance. Sure, this is all about creation. It is the card of the artist, and in some decks, it's actually called art. So it is inherent in the nature of this card. Okay, back to the money question from Marion. I started to charge for readings. Oh, this is specifically when you're ready to charge. I started to charge for readings when I was still at high school because I wanted expensive makeup and my mom wouldn't buy it. Fair enough. Okay, Style and Chica, Judgment. Just want to clarify. I meant interesting in terms of that it is about moving on from battle. Sure, I totally get that. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Right. And Dave, back to this whole thing about where water shows up where it's not really water. The water bearer is an air sign, and that is the star. The star is related to Aquarius. Okay. Serena, regarding new decks. I always read the book. There is usually something in there that keys me into the special essence of that deck. Very good. Joe, regarding a new deck. I just talked to it a bit. Tell it who I am. Ask for it to talk to me. That's sweet. I love that. Claire, new deck. I like to look at each card and get my own initial thoughts. I talk to the deck to how we will work together. I've interviewed decks, but it's not necessary. Hey, Dora, nice to see you. With new decks, I usually go over the cards one by one and then use incense over it, then shuffle and note the first card it gives me. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, wow, that's funny. So this whole question, Mixuair, was looking at temperance versus justice instead of judgment. But that was perfect, though, because it gave us this great conversation. So let's add justice into it, right? Because we brought justice in having to do with judgment anyway. So let's bring this one in. So here I would definitely see balance. But the difference here, for me, justice is about recognizing what is fair and not fair. It can very literally be about dealing with attorneys, dealing with court, dealing with, trying to be fair to others, feeling treated unfairly, all of those things, all about fairness, what is fair and what is not fair, and about finding balance. What these two things definitely have balance in common, but it's balance for different reasons in a lot of ways. Justice is balance because we got to be fair. Temperance is balance because it's what works. What is the right color combination? What are the right spices? What do you have to put in the thing to make the thing work? So it's balance, but for different reasons. And then we've brought judgment in, and we've found judgment to be about balance in terms of how we put closure to the past. So isn't that great? Okay. From Donna, regarding new deck, in the Brian Froud, suggests going through the deck and separating into piles, like, dislike, and meh. Then go through and narrow it down to the cards you like the best and the one you like the least. Sure. Joe, if it's a used deck, I put the cards in order and put the deck book and case out for a moon bath. Introduce yourself when you're ready to work with it. Okay. So see me, judgment and justice are almost the same in our culture in Pakistan. It does make sense as it's a custom, sure. Oh, Style and Chica, look at you. You're doing a lot of cool thinking today. Is temperance like an evolved magician? In a way, it could be. You could absolutely look at it that way. Sure, I love that. And Marion likes it too. So looking at that, let's bring the magician into this conversation. And I thank you all so much for being such great participants in our online community. I always have a few things planned in case no one has anything to say, but I really appreciate it when this can be a conversation because that's, what's so much fun. And that's what we've been missing during this time, certainly. Now, I will be going back to in-person meetups soon, but we're going to continue these online meetups, and I'm going to work out a way to do hybrid meetups as well. We know that StarCon will be hybrid, but I'm going to do some other hybrid stuff too. So Serena says that alchemy is what both of these would have in common, right? That makes perfect sense. And so what else? So with the magician, there's more of the initiation of the journey. And it's like, okay, if you were cooking, the magician is like in the kitchen getting all the things together. I have my mixer, I have my spoon, I'm preheating the oven, I'm getting all my tools together. And with the temperance, now we're doing it. We're mixing things together and we're putting it in the oven and we're making it happen. That's so cool. Hey, Kim, nice to see you. Okay. So, Paula, should you pursue a spiritual question? That's a good question for when the floor is open for readings, which we do in the first half of our time together. You might want to save that for next time. Honestly, if you're not passionate about spiritual work, here's what I'm going to say about that. If no matter how gifted you are, if you're not passionate about it, and anyone else who wants to ring in on this, please do. But man, it is way too hard and not lucrative enough. One thing I say is anyone who does this work to get rich, not that I'm saying that's what I think you're doing, but anyone who does is either stupid or dishonest. Because the only way to do this work and get really wealthy is to rip people off. If you're passionate about this work, it's worth it because you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. But if you don't love it and you don't want to do it professionally, then I really wouldn't, because it's way too hard and way too much work. You got to love it every day. Now, would you become passionate about it as you started doing it? That's a good question for a reading. Okay, so we are coming to the end of our time together, and that means that it is time for your shameless self-promotion. Do you have a website, an Instagram account, a YouTube channel, a blog post, an event coming up, something that you would like to share with us? Go ahead and share it. Go ahead and share it. And I'm going to share a link with you so that you can very easily go get your ticket for the Tarot Flow workshop that's happening on Thursday. I also want to remind you that next Sunday, we have our first guest teacher. We're going to do a Lenormand class. If you work with Lenormand, please make sure you're here. If you don't, but you want to learn about this very interesting system, the creator of this deck, Brenda Elizabeth, will be teaching a 90-minute class right here. It's our first guest teacher. So make sure you join us. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I also want to remind you that I am always available for readings or mentorship by phone, Skype, FaceTime, Messenger, Zoom. I'll be opening my office to in-person readings June 4th. I will be in Connecticut for a week in May. And as I said earlier, in the Tampa Bay area for a weekend in June, if you'd like to see me in person. If you want to reach out to me, you can get all my contact information on my website, tarotbychristiana.com. If you want to schedule a reading coming up in the next week or in person here in Palm City, you can do that right online. Otherwise, you can just get my contact information and reach out if you would like to book with me during one of my tours. I want to thank you all so much for being here. I will look forward to seeing you soon. If you have not joined our Facebook group, Global Tarot Circle, please do. That's a good place for us to connect and see what we got coming up. I also want to let you know that on this channel, there is so much information. So please do go digging around and looking. And the chat stream, like if you want to go back and get some of these connections, some of these shameless self-promotions and links, it appears 24 hours after we're live. So if you go back in the next 5 minutes, you won't find it. But 24 hours later, you will. Friends, I want to thank you all so much. It is great to see you. I will look forward to seeing you soon. Take really good care. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much. Take care.